What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of season 3 of the Big Break Show. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about John, who works over at Trellis. He's one of the co-founders, and Trellis is a company that's creating autonomous AI agents for your short-term rental business. And one of the things that really intrigued me to bring him on is, as we talked about in episode 1 of season 3, with Mark Simpson, I'm in an AI group chat, and John's one of the people in this group chat that really stood out. Their autonomous AI agent platform is at the Y Combinator out in Silicon Valley, where they're raising a bunch of capital to be able to take this at scale. And I've had the pleasure of playing with it for about 2 weeks now, and I'm starting to see, as you start training these agents on how they're really going to start working on their own, as being able to handle problems in your operations that I didn't think possible. And so one of the coolest things that they're talking about is how an agent can talk to the guest, communicate like an actual human, communicate something that a guest complained about, take it to your maintenance person, schedule the maintenance to come inside, be able to order stuff for you on Amazon, and be able to close it all out together without you ever having to step into the actual operation itself. If you don't know how huge that is, guys, I got to tell you, I've been working on operations and systems and processes for 9 years in short-term rentals. And one of the biggest pain points is tracking orders, making sure orders are being delivered, making sure maintenance is showing up on time. And this AI agent that they're creating can very well handle that for you. I think you guys are going to love this episode. I mean, I don't think I've been so excited to interview someone in a very, very long time. Not to say I don't enjoy interviewing anybody else. I love what I do here, and I get to share the knowledge with you guys. But this was just such a unique episode because a lot of you guys know I'm very involved in AI with the short-term rental operations. It's why I started the AI B&B school community to teach people how I use AI in my short-term rental business. So with that being said, I hope you really enjoy the show, and I will see you inside. I mean, guys, this is going to be a great one.
Welcome to The Big Break Show, your go-to podcast for real estate investing, business acquisition, mindset, and lifestyle.
John, thanks for coming on the show, man. I'm excited to have you on today. It's our first time meeting and our first time talking, and welcome to season 3 of the Big Break Show. I'm actually pretty pumped because you're in the AI space pretty much more than a lot of the people I've been talking to lately. This recording came about from the AI chat group that we're in with Mark Simpson, who was on the episode a couple of weeks back. I was like, hey, you know what? I want to have some people from the group on the podcast so we can have some good AI conversations around business, life, short-term rentals, which is what you're like, hey, I'll come on. And I'm like, okay, let me know what you're about. And then I started doing a little bit of research and I got really intrigued. And I started talking about this prior, and we'll get to it in a second, about your company, Trellis. And so with all that to said, look, I'm excited. I'm pumped to have you here. Why don't you let everybody know who you are, what you're about, what you do, and then we'll go from there, man.
Yeah. Sounds good. I'm super pumped to be on this podcast, Rafa. It's actually my second one ever, so it's pretty exciting. I'll tell you who I am. So I'm Jan Sahagun. I'm from Barcelona, from Spain, but I've lived most of my life in France. I used to play ice hockey professionally. I started, in the STR space over 2 years ago. Working for a couple of point solutions in the space that were also doing AI. I eventually met someone super interesting, a very smart guy, which is my co-founder today. And we talked and we decided to build something to actually solve most of the main pain points that this industry has with the latest tech. Just to give you some more context as well about me and what I was doing in STR, I not only worked at multiple point solutions and PMSs, I also consulted multiple property management companies, and I also built like an open source media platform for the space, which is called STR Tech Report. That is essentially just giving anyone, I think this could be useful for anyone in this listening to this podcast, an idea of what tools are out there, who are the people that you should be listening to. I also have like a section for podcasts. So, there's also a section for people to follow. There's also a lot of articles and content, a huge directory of all the tech tools that people use in property management. And so this is also one of the reasons why I built Trellis. The thing is that in this space, there's like a lot of noise when it comes to tech, and property managers, I don't know like how familiar, people that would be listening to us know about property management, specifically in short-term rentals, but it's a very time-consuming job. People might think that it's just like, plug and play, you list an Airbnb, you go to the beach, you lay down and, it just floods money, but it's not the case at all. Like there's simply like, so many coordination and dispatching to be done. There's so many different tools that these people are using that they need to, glue together, etc. And then if any of the people that are here are thinking about maybe going to some conferences to, meet these vendors and compare them, you will see that a lot of these people are just trying to sell you their solutions without really, knowing if you are an actual fit for them. They just want to make money. And I think it's too bad because, every software is different, specifically in the era of static software and legacy software. There are softwares that you need to adapt to and not the other way around. So it's normal that not all softwares will fit you because they're one size fits all, and therefore they don't fit your specific needs, right? And so SDR Tech Report is kind of solving, that pain point, which is the noise of all these vendors, so you can compare them better before making, an informed decision. What we're building at Trellis essentially is something that goes also along those lines. So we're essentially building a new category for the SDR industry. We're essentially giving property managers a digital copy of their business that runs itself and builds itself through agents, through AI agents, right? So we decided to call it Trellis for a very specific reason. It's kind of philosophical, but essentially a trellis, if you know what it is, it's like a support for vines and plants to grow, right? So essentially the trellis is a new type of software. We call it the trellis software, which is the infrastructure layer, right? So the support, the trellis, which are like the integrations. So we integrate with all the tools that property managers use, the consolidation and the unification of all their operational data, and then the agent runtime. And then there's the adaptive layer, which are the vines, right? And those are going to be through workflows, dashboards, and different automations that are generated by the agents around how each company already operates. So instead of you having to adapt to the static software, the software adapts to you, if that makes sense.
It does. Okay, so I appreciate you, and I'm going to stop you there. I have a ton of questions, but before we get into the questions here, let's talk about Trellis for a little bit, and I'm going to come back to STR Tech Report, and I'm curious about your ice hockey to STR journey. That's kind of a quite the shift, probably one of the most different types of shifts I've seen from all the guests I've had on the podcast. But all right, so I'm curious about Trellis specifically because before we started talking, I was like, "Hey, is it a PMS?" And you're like, "No, it's not a PMS. It's kind of like a new thing nobody's doing. It's going to build its software out." But when I think about this, I'm very curious how, I don't want to say smart enough or intelligent enough because again, I still don't understand it. And forgive me if I say something wrong here because I'm genuinely coming from a place of trying to understand this and kind of wrap my head around it. Because again, I've never done anything like this. I know what agents are. I know how agents work. I know how bad agents are. But I know that we're at a tipping point right now where agents are starting to get really, really good. And so for Trellis, when you say it kind of built itself from end to end for a short-term rental operation, for people to be able to kind of run their business hands off. Can you explain a little bit more granular what you mean by that? Do you mean that if I were to come in and say, hey, I have my 30 short-term rentals that I want to implement into Trellis without knowing anything, what's the next spot? What's going to happen next? How is this going to work? Are you going to assign me to an agent and this agent's going to start building my communications, my tech stack, my pricing, my automation? What do you mean by all of that?
Very good question, Rafa. So what Trellis does, first thing is that it's going to unify all the operational data of your business into one platform. And then it will deploy AI agents that actually execute the operations across the different tools that you use. So first of all, Trellis is not something, at least today, that can be used as a standalone. Okay, we rely on different other softwares, and the main one would be the PMS. Right? The PMS is also doing the channel management mostly, right? So connecting to the different OTAs for distribution, etc. So all your listings are on the PMS and then they're broadcasted into the different platforms. So we're going to be grabbing all the information from the PMS and add it into Trellis. Then you might be using, an operations software. You might be using a pricing software. You might be using WhatsApp, Slack, and different communication softwares as well. We would also integrate with those and extract all that information and put it into Trellis. So to answer your question, would Trellis start building, your communications and everything? By default, the platform will already give you a unified inbox for communications. And so, yes, it will build your communications and centralize them and give you visibility on an interface where you'll be seeing all communications from the OTAs, from direct channels like SMS, email, WhatsApp, and also calls. And it won't only be communications with your guests, but also you can centralize communications with your internal teams. You might have WhatsApp groups with cleaners, maintenance, owners, etc. That will also be fed into the platform. Why? Because the thing is that, as I said before, these people, property managers, are just handling multiple software and multiple data points in different parts of the business, and they're not talking to each other. So there are things that fall through the cracks, right? So we're just consolidating everything so that we can take action. Agents can take action. So, there's, for example, very standard, procedure or like thing that happened. Like there's a cleaner that simply sends you a message saying, oh, this is broken, we should replace it, right?
Mhm.
Maybe you miss that message because, you have 1,000 WhatsApp groups, 1,000 messages from guests on the PMS. You're handling operations on a separate software. Well, the agent will have that context and would be able to automatically triage and so create a task, right? And assign it to the right person so that they follow up with that and you have visibility. It can also follow up with you, call you, message you, WhatsApp you, Slack you, whatever you want, and let you know about it. And it could also go one step further. The example I gave is something broke. We need to order another thing, maybe on Instacart, maybe on Amazon. You can have the agent use the browser, go to that platform and place their order for you, and then update your inventory, essentially. Those are the things that we can do. But again, not as standalone without the PMS.
Okay, so you said something, dude, I mean, you're getting me fired up for this conversation. You said something that's really intriguing because for the past, I don't know, month and a half, I've been playing with just Claude Code, making my own little agent here and there, right? And I used one now that just sends emails for me. Like right now, I can type up and say, hey, I forgot to reply to this email. Go read it and then reply, and it'll draft it and put it in my inbox. Now, it doesn't send automatically just because I don't want it to send random stuff. It still has that I need approved permission. One of the biggest key points that I have in my business, now, everybody listening to this episode is going to want to listen to it based on short-term rentals and their operations. How to simplify their life is one of the biggest things that I'm always pushing. How can I use AI to simplify my life? Well, now you're giving me the topic of how can I use AI to simplify my short-term rental business? Which is why I'm so excited about this conversation. Now, the point I was getting at, right now I use, for example, I'm going to give you the tech stack. I have Hospitable. It connects to PriceLabs. It connects to HelloHost. PriceLabs does my dynamic pricing. HelloHost replies with AI, does a fantastic job at it. And then I have Slack, where I keep my internal team communications. And then I have my virtual assistants in Slack. And then they're the ones doing all the work for ordering consumables, like you just explained.
Yeah.
They're contacting maintenance. And one of the things that I was hoping HelloHost could solve for us, and I think you just probably solved it for me, which now why I'm really excited for this. I was working on my business through just, again, Claude Code and trying to do some code, Vive coding and stuff like that to see if I can figure out a way where I can create an agent where if a guest, let's say, I'm going to give you the example, HelloHost gets a message from a guest.
Yes.
The guest responds saying, hey, the toilet is broken.
Yes.
We have a leak. The message comes in as a high alert. My VA then reads it, and then they have to message our maintenance guy, schedule it, get permission from the guest to enter again at a specific time, go back to the maintenance guy, and then they have to kind of schedule it in and hope things happen. Are you telling me that Trellis can solve that problem without my VA being involved?
Yes. You see me
Bro.
smiling and laughing, bro. Like,
Yeah.
it literally, because I didn't give you that specific example first, but that's the most common one, right? Like a guest complaining about something, and you need to solve their issue. And it's sad, but like I worked for these type of companies that do what HelloHost, HeliHost. What's the name of the
HelloHost, yeah.
HelloHost, right? So I worked for Best AI, right?
Yeah.
Which you probably know. And so
Yes.
there's many guest communication point solutions in the space that were solving that main problem of communications. So automating communications. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? You just said it. Like it's still someone that is gonna solve the issue for the guest. The HelloHosts of the world, they'll just be automating apologies to the guest, but not solving the issue.
Yes.
And so we're actually going beyond that. And actually, to give you more context about my co-founder, I mentioned he was a genius. He's a property manager. He's got 150 listings in Milan. And he also built, so he's an AI genius from Cambridge. He also built a solution that you might know, which is called Conduit, previously called Host AI, that is doing something similar to HelloHost, right? But it stops there. And at the time, we didn't have the technology to do more than that, right? So it was already like revolutionary. And he built that specifically for that need of replying to guests. But then he realized that, but we're missing something, right? And so that's why we came up with this idea of like, well, with agents, if we give them all the context of our business, they can run it, right? And so the example you gave, let's take, for example, the AC is not working, something that may happen often, right? What the agents are going to be able to do is what you just said. Answer to the guest, then create a task, right? Assign it to the right person based on different criteria. So we have like a dispatch algorithm that is going to check, okay, how urgent this task is, right? who do we have on the field that has the skill to solve it? They need to have the AC repair skill. I'm not going to assign this task to a cleaner to fix the AC. It doesn't make sense, right? We can also see what the schedules are, their geolocation, the different tasks that they have for the day, and see like the routes and which one makes the most sense to assign to make it more efficient. Because if someone is at the other side of the city, even if they have the AC repair, maybe there's someone closer that I can assign it to, right? And so it makes more sense. So it's taking all of these different data points into consideration before doing the assignment and the dispatching. And then, Rafa, another thing is, okay, I can create a task and assign it to someone. But if that person doesn't see the notification of the mobile app, what happens then?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the agent can call them. It's like a virtual employee. You can follow up. And if the person cannot go, we'll just replan and reassign it to someone else.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, because look, there's a very easy way to set this up to where you can assign something to someone, but then the person doesn't respond. Let's say one of the questions I was going to ask you deeper was how I can get like an AC maintenance out or like a pest control company out. If they're not in my tech stack or my internal team, I have to go and research one that's nearby. Maybe I have like a one standalone property in some random city, for example. I don't know. And I have to get an AC person out there ASAP because I don't have somebody yet because I've never had that situation happen in the past. And now I need one now. And so my question was going to be, how can the agent find the one that's there, get a hold of them and schedule it, and then get approval to be able to bring them in? And you just said it. So it'll actually call and it'll talk to them.
Yes. And you can always have this sort of like human in the loop workflows where like at any time, these agents, you mentioned using Slack, these agents can be on your Slack as Slack bots, right? With the full operational context of your business. So you, Rafa, you can text the agent from Slack and tell him, schedule this task, do this, do that. And the agent can also proactively reach out to you on Slack and tell you, look, there's an AC repair needed in this property. We have no one in our staff that can do it. We need to reach out to an external vendor. Can I call this company for you and try to see if they can do it? Once I get, a word from them, I'll get back to you so that you can approve it and we can dispatch them. Or, like you will define how the AI works. You will give it specific SOPs and instructions so that it follows your guidelines and it works the way you want it to.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, dude, because another question I have now is parameters. I just gave you an example of how my Claude is connected through my Google Workspace through a CLI connection. However, I still have parameters to where it cannot delete anything, where it cannot send anything out on its own, where it cannot move folders without permission. It can create folders and organize within its own right, but it has parameters of it cannot do certain things. How are you guys setting that up to where, let's say an agent sees a notification that comes in, it goes and makes the call and then approves the AC or the maintenance guy or whoever without notifying anybody of a cost, a charge, or a time, or even getting permission from the guest, going all full circle on that as an approval without going out in left field and hallucinating and figuring things out on its own that it shouldn't be doing. Like, what are you guys doing for that kind of safety measure?
We're putting up like some, guardrails and core behaviors directly into the agents by default. And then we're also leaving like some margin for customization to the users when it comes to like, the tone of voice of the agent, and then extra like specific instructions on how to behave, what it can do, what it cannot, and that what tools it has access to or not. So we can go very granular into the tools. So for example, for the inbox, you could give it access to certain inboxes and maybe not others. So maybe this particular agent only handles guest communications, so it doesn't have access to the owner's communications, right? Because we have a separate agent for that. And then for that specific inbox, maybe you just want it to be able to read and not write, right? Maybe you want it to also communicate, so you will leave the right tool as well. And then you can also put like, some restrictions of whether you want to automate like the messaging and allow autopilot, so it to communicate directly or not. And then the other thing is like, it will always do things only when it's 100% sure, right? So if it doesn't have, the knowledge in the knowledge base, it won't be able to do it. And so we will escalate. So we do that through escalations. Whenever the agent is not 100% sure of what it needs to do, because it doesn't have it on the knowledge base, it will escalate. And then you will take over, you will tell it how to, and then it will save that into the memory so that next time it can do it the way you want it to. Of course, if that was just like an edge case and it was like a one-time thing, you can always just like remove it from the memory of the agent and maybe teach the agent yourself on how you want it to act next time this comes up.
That's a good example. How much work am I going to have to do to train this thing? Is it going to be like a daunting task that I have to sit here and do every single day so it's not making mistakes? Or is it something that I'm like just kind of guiding it a couple hours a day? Because again, like for example, me, I have way too many things going on in my day already as it is. That's why I have a full team that's already for the short-term rentals. How much work does one actually have to put in to build these or train these agents?
It's a very good question, Rafa. And the thing is, we're taking this very seriously, the implementation and the onboarding. So it takes some time, of course, because as you know, AI is like garbage in, garbage out. So you need to really, really give it the best things so that it can give you the best outcomes. And for that, we don't know your business better than yourself. So we're still going to need to pick your brains and, map your SOPs and build a knowledge base together. And then you always have to maintain it a little bit because things might happen. The AI might learn things that are good, maybe some that are not. And so we need to clean it up. We need to update things, etc. So this is something that you might have to do on the long term, but it won't take more than, a couple, 15 minutes a day max, or maybe a week. It's not a lot. However, the onboarding process is something like to get you set up. It's something that might take maybe a full week, and that might take us forever. So, and I want to explain this because this is a new technology, right? Like you're experiencing with AI agents, we're all playing with AI agents, we're all vibe coding things, etc. But it's very new, right? It's like as if we just discovered electricity and everyone is trying to make something with it, but we don't know what it's capable of. We don't know how to tame it, etc. And so most companies out there, they just sell you a software, right? They sell you a software, they onboard you into the platform, and then you figure it out. And then you have a customer service agent in the Philippines that you can reach out to sometimes, and they help you a little bit, etc. And then you've probably talked to some people today, like with this, emergence of AI agents, there's a lot of AI gurus out there that are selling you how to become AI native, how to implement this technology. And so they're type of consultants that come into your business, they audit your procedures, your operations, and they, build tools for you. We're doing both things. We're giving you the platform with the agents that you can build on top, etc. And we're also giving you the consulting and the implementation of it all the way. So we'll be building the workflows with you. We'll be building the SOPs, the knowledge base, everything. So how much time would it take you? Not that much, because we'll be doing half of it, right? Essentially. That's super important. And just to add to that, because I think it's really important to add, is that the people that will be onboarding you and implementing this tech, they're not just standard, VAs or customer support people. They're property managers that have already onboarded themselves into our platform and that are technical and that are AI built and that know what they're doing. And no one in this industry is doing that. No one has property managers onboarding them into a PMS, into a software or whatever. It's always customer support people that maybe don't just got the job and they don't know much about the industry. They've never run a property management company.
60% of operators added AI last year to their business, and you'd think it'd be dynamic pricing. That's the sexy one. It wasn't. The biggest one across the board, hands down, was guest communication through AI. Makes sense. If you've ever ran this business, the messages literally never stop. Check-in time, Wi-Fi password, is there a blow dryer? How do we park? Always the same questions over and over. I added HelloHost to handle that layer for me now. It runs on top of my property management software and it responds to guests so good, not sounding like a robot at all, which was my biggest concern about using AI, the AI slop through messaging. This wasn't some fancy AI pricing algorithm, something simple that helped escalate our business and save all of our team members a lot of time. If you're still running 1, 2, or even 3 short-term rentals right now, and you're still responding to messages or relying on your PMS to answer them for you, you're probably leaving a lot of time on the table and a lot of really good reviews on the table. I suggest you check this out. So how many people are using the tech right now?
Very good question. We are at the moment I can tell you right now from my vibe coded CRM that I fully vibe coded, we have 32 companies, a total of 2,880 listings. I'm giving you exact figures. We went from 0 to almost 3,000 listings in less than 3 months.
I mean, that's impressive. Did anything break while you guys were doing that? That's a lot of listings to have to load in.
It's a very good question. We're the fastest growing in this space. We're growing at a very, very fast pace and we're innovating constantly. And so, of course, when you go fast, things break. You cannot avoid it. But just little things, right? That there's little bugs here and there. And our strength is that we're not only fast in growing, we're also fast in fixing. So whenever something comes up, there's something that doesn't work, we just fix it right away. And I think that someone at a YC talk recently said that, I think it was the founder of Kalshi. He said that building a startup is essentially building a boat with a lot of holes in it. And so your job is to fix those holes so that the boat doesn't drown. And that's what we're doing. We're just building this insane boat that, of course, we need to patch up while we grow, but we're doing it the best we can.
So I have a question around this, dude, and I'm gonna say it in a way where I don't want it to come off wrong because it's a genuine question of curiosity. So I bought into Eden.co. I'm sure you're familiar with Eden. If you're not, Eden was like an AI platform for creators, right? Somebody in the AI group actually recommended it. I forgot who it was. I signed up. I paid for the year subscription. I'm all excited. I was using it. I was helping it come up with ideas for like content and kind of like a brain dump and put stuff in my head. Anyway, about 5 months into it, they go bankrupt and they shut everything down and I lose everything. And now it's just like a little platform for doing research for social media, for content creation. And I'm like, that's not what I wanted it for. Okay. And then we got a long email that said, it was too expensive. People were using up too many tokens. The cost that we were charging wasn't supporting what we needed. We had too many people behind working to get this thing up and running. My question to you is, I want to get under the hood of Trellis. How does that look in terms of the amount of people that you got working in the background? I am going to ask you what the cost of it is at some point. If you want to bring it up now, it'd be the great time to bring it up. But how does it look underneath the hood? How many people you got working underneath it? What's the cost to keep this thing afloat? And do you see this thing going really long term in terms of the cost versus what you guys are inputting and outputting for the value? And again, I don't want you to take this question the wrong way, but I've seen a lot of startup companies with AI start up really high and then slowly start doing this. And some of them really go this way. And then it's just the tech is so new right now that a lot of people don't know which direction to take it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that question make sense?
It does make a lot of sense. And it's definitely something that we need to consider. We're meant to be the last piece of software that a property manager will ever need. And we can truly say that we're not going anywhere. Like we're not going to go bankrupt anytime soon. Like we're here for the long run and we're going to win this race. And it is a race. And we can see that, all the other tools out there are trying to do what we're doing. They're just struggling because they have a lot of tech debt and they're struggling to add this new technology on top of what they currently have. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of validation because we've grown so far and because we're seeing, other people in the industry trying to do what we're doing. And people are, and there's new companies building things similar to what we're doing. So there's a huge need of this and it's not going to go away. Regarding costs, it definitely has a cost. We all know that these agents are, like token farmers, like they consume tokens like crazy. Yeah. And it can be very expensive. So one thing that, I don't know if I can say this here, but so we already have 750K in funding, right? So we have runway, we're good. We're not gonna go bankrupt tomorrow. We have some runway and we're raising a seed round in June, very soon. And so we'll have even more runway. We're not scared of going, bankrupt because we're like, we know we have funding and we're, handling our costs. Now, it's true that the costs can be expensive, but we have some ways of kind of making sure we're not spending overspending, I would say. And then one thing that we're going to have to do, and this is something I'm just going to drop here, as soon as we're going to get, institutional investors in our cap table, so we'll be raising I don't know how much, from 5 to 10 million in June, we'll be starting to have to build a company, right? Like right now we can run a charity if we want. We have no one on top of us telling us what to do. So we can offer prices that are very beneficial to our users. That would be just like a price per listing per month with unlimited token spend. And so to answer your question, I've checked like kind of what people are spending. I have some companies that are spending a little bit over what they're paying us. I have companies paying exactly what they pay us, which is perfect. And then you have companies that are spending 5 times what they pay us. And so that's not sustainable for a business, right? You need to make margins, not the other way around. So for that reason, after we raise, we're just going to have to do like anyone else that handles tokens, essentially, a credit-based price. So you pay this price per listing per month, you get this amount of credits, and once you run out, you buy more with a markup. That's it. And that's the only way to sustain it. And then behind the scenes, how many people do we have? We're 7 right now. So it's my co-founder and myself. He's on the product side. I'm on the growth side and on the admin and operations side. And then we have 5 people working on product. So we have 3 developers, 3 engineers full-time. And then we have 2 property managers that are technical as well. That are in between product and customers doing the onboardings, implementations, like forward deployed engineers. And we're going to add another forward deployed engineer very soon. And we're going to be investing a lot in that because, as you said, this is a new tech, so it requires, consulting. And so we're offering that right now. We might start charging onboarding and implementation fees as well because we need to run a business. But right now, for people that are joining us, it's just price per listing per month, unlimited token spend, and unlimited onboarding, implementation, and consulting.
Thank you for explaining that. That's really, really good. So I have a few questions around that. So the cost, I think, makes sense, obviously. That's where I assumed you were going, a per token cost type of deal. But wouldn't that be kind of a risk to me as an operator where, let's say I'm on a couple $100 a month plan or $1,000 a month or whatever the plan may be, and it's just being ran up so much, and then I run out of tokens, and then it stops working, and I don't notice, and then I have a full day of like nobody there handling what needs to be handled because I'm out of tokens.
No, we've thought about this, and so there are things that can run with light models and that don't cost much, and we can cover for that. And so essentially, the basics of the platform, the guest communications, the operations, etc., those types of things should be able to run autonomously and without like stopping the service. It will be more complicated workflows that you might be running that cost more, unfortunately. And it's also just to put some barriers to users in the sense that right now people are just building endless workflows. Maybe from those workflows, there are things that you actually don't really necessarily need and you're just overspending just because of the sake of it. And so it's also making you more responsible and making you optimize for what you actually need, right? And if you think that you need more, then you'll just pay for it because you actually need it. But like only for what moves the needle. And the nice to have, you will just remove them because you're not going to be spending for that.
I love that, man. I often say today's AI is the worst it'll ever be, and it's only going to get better. Do you think right now that the tech is good enough for what you're building to just like, well, obviously you do because you're building it, so it's kind of a silly question on my side, but do you think it's good enough to where as you start to do this, it's only going to get better and better and more cost effective? Or do you think it's going to get more expensive in terms of the cost and the usage and the tokens because it's getting better?
You said it's the first version of it. It's actually the opposite of, getting more expensive. We had Sam Altman talking on Tuesday, and he was comparing all these LM companies as utility companies, right? So the new utility is going to be tokens, not electricity, right? And so you've seen it with electricity, right? Like at the beginning, it might have been more expensive and the costs have decreased. The tokens are the same. And what the frontier models are trying to do, specifically OpenAI, is to make the models the best they can at the cheapest price. So long term, the cost of tokens is just going to reduce. Of course, like with new models coming in, the new models come in, they have higher prices, but then they reduce. But then the quality is just keeps increasing. And long term, the prices go down. So it's just going to be better and more cost efficient as well.
I think you guys have advertised that you guys have over 200 integrations with as like Airbnb, Verbo, Guesty, like all the major PMS out there, Price Labs of Scores, some payment processors like Stripe and things like that. So out of all of these, what's the integration that's unlocked like that biggest aha moment for your early customers working with you right now that you've noticed?
Look, like the thing is that the PMS integrations are not an aha moment, but are like much needed moment, right? Like if we don't have the integration with PMS, we cannot work with them. I feel like the platform itself is an aha moment. So just plugging into your PMS, the different tools, you're like, wow, like what this can do is what I needed. And like everyone is like just like imagine having agents just, ordering stuff on Instacart, filing claims with guests, just handling dispatching end to end. Like we have a company that is automating 98% of their tasks, dispatching. It's insane.
John, it's funny because I had no intention to go this deep into Trellis, but I'm so intrigued now, not only for the audience, but I'm just being selfish, taking the time now and just asking you all these questions because I'm like, where do I sign up, bro? Like, send me the link. You know what I mean? Let's get this thing integrated. It's this good. I mean, so, one of the things that we have in our company is how can we make the customer experience better? And one of the things that we're always talking about is like, what if a guest tells us that they're coming for a party and us being proactive, we can, order a bottle of champagne or ask them what their favorite drink is, or maybe get some balloons delivered or have, recommendations to like steak nights or in-house chefs. But the team will miss it because we have the AI messenger in the background responding. Can this tool pick that message up without us having to flag it?
Yeah, man, I have an example. So this was with one of the properties of my co-founder in Milan. This was in February. So when we started, and it just has gotten better since. But essentially, what I told you is you're gonna give these instructions to the AI, right? So whenever this happens, I want you to do this. And so one thing they had is that for it was Valentine's Day on the 14th of February, and so essentially they wanted to offer like romantic setups for couples that were, booking on those dates to make them happy. And so they essentially had someone that came in, the boyfriend of someone, that said, look, I'm coming with my girlfriend for Valentine's Day. I would like to, have something done, etc. And so the AI was able to pick it up and tell him, like, we're offering this romantic setup. If you want, we can put like some rose petals on the bed and a champagne bottle when you get in for your girlfriend, etc. Just let us know if you're interested. We'll send you a payment link and then we'll take care of it. And so they said yes. Agents send the payment link through Stripe. They paid. And then what it did is that it rerouted the cleaner to the nearest flower shop to buy the petals, then go to the grocery shop, buy the champagne bottle, and then leave that after the checkout cleaning of the previous guest for the new guest.
Wow.
And then she sent a message to the guest saying, it's all done. I hope you enjoy. Let us know how it went. And after the stay, it asked to follow up. And these are the things that you can do, designing the guest experience and having these agents doing the execution.
Yeah, that's incredible, dude. I mean, wow. I mean, I have a bunch of use cases I can ask you for the next 5 days. We're not going to keep going. I mean, I'm seriously, dude, I'm very, very impressed. And I'm asking you some deep questions because I like to understand it because I'm curious at heart. But I also want people to know how good this is because right now, HelloHost and even Hospitable's internal AI inbox, they'll respond to guests awesome. Like they do a great job. Pretty much right now, any AI communication tool does a good job, so it doesn't sound robotic anymore. They've gotten a little bit better over time. Some of them are still kind of wonky, but we still need that level of somebody to come in and fix it. So one of the things I'm always constantly dealing with the headache of my pool equipment always failing at one of my tiny homes. It's like a nightmare. So my VA always has to be on there, right? To give an example, if I connect the AI agent, anytime there's a parameter of, hey, pool equipment went down, it's going to troubleshoot for me with the guest, correct? It's going to go, hey, try this first. If they say no, okay, try this second. If they say no, try this second. Which right now, the AI messengers that we have with HelloHost, they do that, but they can't do it with reasoning. It can only do it as if this, then that. So yours is going to be more of a reasoning where, okay, you figured this out. Okay, cool. Have a great day. You haven't? Okay, try this. It still doesn't work. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to contact maintenance. Then it's going to send a message to my pool guy. My pool guy is going to go, or my maintenance pool guy, because he's a mix of both. He's going to get the text message. He's going to go, I'll be there in 10 minutes. The agent's going to go to the guest and go, hey, they'll be there in 10 minutes. Then Jeremiah, my pool guy, shout out to Jeremiah, he's fantastic, by the way. And he's gonna send us a message saying, hey, I'm en route. I'll be there in 5. The agent's going to pick it up again and go, hey, he's en route. He'll be there in 5. Then Jeremiah's going to go, hey, I'm at the property. Is it okay to come in? The agent's going to go, hey, he's here. Is it okay to come in? Or maybe even proactively get permission to enter before we even call Jeremiah. Correct? So now the thing goes whole circle and I never had to step in and my VA never had to worry about it.
Exactly.
I mean, bro, I'm mind blown. This is fantastic. So let me ask you another question, because talking about all these connections and all these tools that solve a certain problem, will this save me money or is it just going to be another add-on on top of everything else that I have to have? Is the real question that I want to know, because can I start removing other tools that I have? Like maybe can I completely get rid of, like, I don't want to say HelloHost because I love them, but like, let's just use them as an example. Can I get rid of them and have the AI start doing this? Or is it going to be more expensive because of the token usage and responses? Or what about Price Labs for pricing? Like, I'm curious as what the integration of Price Labs even looks and how it can help me there.
At this stage, we're not going to be replacing Price Labs, but we could definitely replace HelloHost. We can definitely replace other operations tools and communications tools, ticketing tools like Asana, also like staff management tools like Workforce. But in the long term, I mean, this could eventually become, as I said, like the last piece of software you'll ever need to use. So it could replace everything. So long term, 100%, a lot of cost efficient. In the short term, replacing a couple tools, plus also allowing you to generate more money through upsells, for example. But also, it's also going to be allowing you to maybe cut down your VA team, or while you scale, not have to add extra headcount. And there's also savings being done there. Yep. And then regarding Price Labs, like how the integration works, it's actually super cool. So, anything that you could do from Price Labs interface, the agent could do. So imagine, like, for example, you have to go to Price Labs to pair like different properties against the market and then see like if they're underperforming or not. And then you manually adjusting the prices, etc. You could have an agent do that for you. And you mentioned Slack, and this is super cool. Like we have some companies that have these workflows, and essentially they have like an agent every Monday, 9 a.m., going through the full portfolio, analyzing the properties against the market, generating recommendations of whether to increase or decrease the prices, and then sending a report to Slack in, let's say, like a revenue management channel, right? And then it tells you, do you want me to update the prices for this property from this to this? Yes or no? Yes, changes the prices directly on Price Labs. And so on a weekly basis, you get that analysis that it's telling you not only if some properties are underperforming, but also what actions to take, and telling you that it can take them for you. And on the press of a button, sending one message, the agent can go to Price Labs and update the prices for you.
Seriously, I'm like, you got my wheels spinning so hard right now, man. I just signed up a mastermind that they're kind of teaching like social media marketing and direct bookings and like marketing. And one of the things they're going to teach is like extreme pricing for experiential stays. Like he's very zoned in on experiential stays. And I'm like, I like to join these groups, and I'm very curious about learning it. But you just gave me an idea to connect the agent with the knowledge that I learned from them, plug it in together, have it learn, and just slowly just price everything out for me. And it takes me 0 hours to do, and it's going to be precise and to the point. I mean, bro, this is fantastic, dude. I mean, seriously, this is fantastic. So, there's a lot of use cases for this aside from short-term rentals. Right now, you guys are strictly focused on short-term rentals, correct? Nothing else, not on a personal level, not like on a personal assistant level, not like on a long-term rental level, none of that.
I mean, look, like there are things, I don't know if I can have an agent actually jump into the call, but we have agents that can also like join meetings. And so essentially act as a note taker, but also proactively be able to interact with you during the call. And so, Rafa, we'll jump on a separate call if you want. I can show you around, etc. But like, essentially, we can be talking to each other on the call, talking to the agent, and the agent can create tasks to follow up with someone, send a message to a guest, tell you how many reservations you have for tomorrow, how many check-ins. Like, it's insane. It's essentially having these virtual employees 24/7, and their brains are your business. It's crazy. So, yeah, man, you can actually build some personal agents inside our platform. Some like assistants that can join you on your calls, and that you can connect to like your email and stuff like that. And they can do whatever you build with Cloud Code. You could build it even like with us.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad you said this, because last night I was all excited. I spent about an hour and a half on Cloud Code, and obviously back to the workspace, CLI. I basically created an operations brain dump for my head. I have a million things going on. I can't remember half the things that I do. So what I did is I connected all my note taker tools. I actually don't even need them anymore, because Gemini has their own personal note taker now that connects to all of my calls. And I'm like, okay, great. So I gave access to the Gemini note taker, to my Google Drive, to every single meeting I've ever had, where it records it. Then it pulls a transcript, and then it dumps it into my Google Drive, organized by what company we talked about. Was it a personal call? Was it a business deal? Was it a capital raise call? Was it an investor conversation? It just categorizes them all together into one Google Drive folder, subcategorized by 60 folders of detail-specific subcategories of what those meetings were. And then now, anytime I have, then it pulled all that info into a project. Now, anytime I go, hey, you remember this call that I had with this person? I don't remember the name, but we talked about this. It'll go into that, read everything I have, and go, oh yeah, it was this one. Sends me the info, and it goes, this is what you guys talked about. Here's the pending tasks. Here's what you need to do. These are urgent. It's today's date. You no longer need to do that. When I did that last night, dude, I was like, oh my God, I just solved a gigantic headache for me. Like, this is like gold. You're telling, I wasted hours yesterday, because now I can come into your software and it's done.
Yeah.
And I'm this is the most exciting conversation I had in a long time, dude. I'm actually really, really pumped out. You can tell my voice. I'm like, wow, okay, this is awesome. So with that being said, let's go back to under the hood. What's the tech stack that this is being built around? Is it like a language model you guys have a contract with? Is it your own deal? Like, what do you, and I don't know if you're able to talk about that, but like, what's actually driving this thing to make sure it works good and that it's staying up to date with all the tech? Because I mean, dude, today, right now, Claude is the best. Tomorrow's going to be ChatGPT. The day after that's going to be Gemini. And then they're just going back and forth and back and forth.
But today is not Claude anymore. It's Codex.
Yeah, it's Codex, correct. Yeah, I was about to say that.
Right, but yeah, I agree with you, man. And so what we do is that we're harnessing multiple LLMs, right? We're not dependent on a single model.
Awesome.
We use multiple. And so depending on the task that the agent is going to do, it's going to call one model or another. And it's also this that we're using to actually make it more cost efficient. So I go back to what previous question you had, how we can make it sustainable. You don't want to use an Opus 4.7 to answer a Wi-Fi password question, right? You might just use a Gemini Flash. And so those are the things that we're doing. We don't have like specific contracts with all these LMs. We just have like, credits, and we have partnerships thanks to, and I want to shout out YC, because it's an incredible network and it's an incredible incubator. And we have these deals. I don't know if you saw recently, I just posted it today, but this happened on Tuesday. For our batch and the summer batch, they're doing an experiment where like OpenAI is investing $2 million $2 million in all of our companies in tokens. And so
Wow.
it's pretty insane. And so we're using the frontier models, right? So we're using the best of the best, and we get like a lot of tokens. So we're also like covered on that end, I would say.
That's incredible, man. That seriously is incredible. Wow. I'll tell you about the software that actually runs my business. Hospitable. I run properties in a few different markets and I do it all remotely. I'm not pulling that off without one place holding everything together. All your calendars sync in real time. Airbnb, Verbo, Booking.com, Google, your direct booking site, all of it talking to each other in real time. So you don't get double booked. And if that's ever happened to you, you know how bad it is. Refunds, bad reviews, lost reservations, it's a pain in the butt. Hospitable's new dynamic pricing is built right in it now. It updates your rates every day off the market and pushes them out everywhere for you. And you can do markups per OTA. You're not touching it once, you just have to oversee it every now and then to make sure it's correct. You can even build your own direct booking website on the platform and get you on Google so that you can take bookings without giving up those OTA fees. We all know about the 15.5% fee. And the operation side is honestly my favorite part. It assigns your cleaners around every booking. You pay them right there in the app and it spits out a new door code for every single guest. And my favorite part is their newest addition, the upsells. We've made about $450 this week on upselling early check-ins, late checkouts, and entertainment packages. Something like 300,000 operators run on Hospitable at the moment. If you're scaling and you're downsizing your tabs and don't want to do more work, you should definitely check out Hospitable. Links in the description. I want to kind of pivot a little bit and talk about the exact launch when you started going everything. How many times, because I if I was reading correctly, you gave an example about how a guest cracked the TV and then going back to the whole circle of the agent picked it up, right? Ordered the TV, had it delivered, contact the maintenance guy, came, got it installed, all of that. How many of these have you seen go full circle and how many are like, what's the success rate and the it got stuck rate? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, to be honest, I think it's a good question, and I think we should be tracking these things better. And unfortunately, like we haven't been doing it. The only metric that I just got recently, and it was from a customer, it was not even me. I don't know how he's tracking that, but like he said he was automating 98% of his task dispatching, and I don't know how he actually came to that figure. Maybe he just asked the agents, and the agents built a dashboard for him to keep track of that because that's what they can do. But I exactly don't know. What I know is that the success rate is going to depend on the context, right? So if the agent doesn't have the full context to execute a task end to end, it's because we didn't feed it the information. And so therefore it escalated, right? So it didn't fail, it just escalated. And then there are things that I've been seeing. So I cannot answer like in terms of figures, unfortunately, because I don't have them and I don't have like a system in place to track that. But it's good that we have this conversation because I'm gonna start building something for that. Something that we've seen is sometimes the agents, when they cannot do something, they figure it out. So like there's this company that is one of our first design partners that we're trying to essentially have the agent on a Mac Mini, and they wanted it to connect to a specific tool. And so it was able to develop that specific API integration with that tool just by prompting it, because it didn't have the information and it didn't have like the instructions to do it. So it just figured out and built that integration for them.
Yeah, that is wild. That's seriously wild. Which leads me to the next question, I guess, because right now, a lot of operators and property managers are like, oh, AI is changing the space and we're using agents for this and using agents for that. And, I feel like a lot of this stuff is clickbait on social media. And I see ads pop up all the time. Oh, we're using AI agents to solve problems in our short-term rental business. And then I'll start doing a little bit of digging and I'm like, dude, what a waste of time, right? Like this isn't an AI agent. You just added an automation from one software to the next. Like, and then I know some people that are truly building agents that are like, I'm talking to you right now, right? About this. In that space, some people are like, this is an agent, this is not an agent. And then somebody new decides, hey, I want to give AI agents a shot in my business. What's the difference between me going out or that person going out and wanting to build it themselves? Because some of them very could build some low-level agents themselves, as opposed to joining you and going with your agents. Like, what's the differentiating factor between I want to do this myself or I want to sign up with you and just get the ball rolling right away?
I think you have the answer, and it's something that you mentioned earlier. You said this took me 1 hour 30 minutes. I could have done it with you like that. So I think it's time factor. I'm not technical, by the way. Like I just I studied finance, entrepreneurship, and business, and I've had like 2 classes of Python, right? And I actually wanted to at some point. I was like, fuck, like I would love to build. So maybe I should like pivot and just, do a degree in computer science. Now I'm glad I didn't, because now I can do whatever I want without having to learn it. And soon it'll be even crazier, right? However, I still vibe coded things, right? Like, for example, I was telling you before, like my CRM, fully vibe coded. STR Tech Report, fully vibe coded. And these are things that work. STR Tech Report is a separate thing because it's pretty simple. It's a directory. It doesn't take too much to maintain. A CRM is a different thing. And so by vibe coding, if we vibe code our own agents, you and me or any property manager, you're going to spend time building them, and then you're going to spend time maintaining them. Because when you add things break. Because you don't know what you did. You don't know code, right? So you don't know what you did. You don't know how many lines you, and how your architecture is. So we have a lot of customers today actually that build agents, build things, but they face roadblocks. First of all, they spend too much time doing it. And then they couldn't get to the point where they wanted to get, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because simply the technology is not there yet for someone non-technical to build these things.
Well, to give you an example, Mark, on the first episode of season 3 that I brought on, he gave up the perfect example. Someone can vibe code a website right now. It's going to look beautiful. And he gave the comparison to a vehicle. Let's say someone was able to vibe code a Ferrari. Let's say tech was like super advanced and I vibe code a Ferrari. And now I have a badass Ferrari sitting in the driveway. And it looks beautiful, but when you go to drive it, the car doesn't move because you can't vibe code the engine that runs the car. Well, same thing with the website. You can't, like a CRM, I mean, you can't vibe code or create the backend without having some sort of coding knowledge, correct?
Yes. Correct.
And so what you're saying is you have the backend already figured out so that I can come in and just kind of ask the agent what to do, and it already knows because it's already got all that in the back ready to go.
Exactly. And that's what I mentioned at the beginning when I said we're building a Trellis software. We're giving you the infrastructure layer with all the integrations already done, right? So you don't have to wonder, like worry about it. The architecture is already built in. It's just like plug and play. You build your agents on top and you don't need to maintain anything. We do it. And another thing is, which is obvious, you don't want to run a software company, right? You want to still run your operations. You want to scale that business without having to build another one. And that's what most people are doing with us. Like they're like, I wanted to build my things, but I don't want to become a software company. It's taking me away from my actual operations, and I'm not able to actually scale my business. So I'd rather just have you do it. So that's one thing. And by the way, just shout out to Mark because I love that guy, and
He's
I
great.
know he's going to text me once a week. He's going to be seeing this.
Yeah, he's awesome, dude. I love Mark. It's funny because one of the things too, last night I saw, or a couple days ago, I saw a post on Instagram where Anthropic was hiring coders at $3,800 a week, or not even coders, but people with no prior experience in coding. As long as they had a little bit of Python experience, they were paying $3,800 a week to come into Anthropic and help with the security and systems and basically build out the platform of Anthropic for Claude, right? And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And so I'm sitting there with my brother last night. We're drinking a glass of wine. And I'm like, hey, dude, did you see this Anthropic deal? I'm like, this is like amazing. $3,800 is a lot of money per week for someone, right? You're talking about $16,000 a month to code, obviously full time. And I'm like, you don't need any prior experience. You just need a little bit of Python experience. It clearly says just a little bit of Python experience. And I'm like, if I wasn't so consumed and in love with building real estate and putting deals together and networking and raising capital, I would 100% pivot my entire business, learn Python in a week as much as I can, and then go apply for this job and start doing it. And he goes, dude, you'd get fired. I said, I probably would, but I'll tell you what, not only would I spend a week or two learning Python, so I'd have a new skill set at a basic level, and number two, I would, if I do get the job, before I probably do get fired, I guarantee you I'm going to learn a ton to where now I can come back in my own business and apply everything I learned and build something freaking cool. I said, unfortunately, it's not what I want to do. I don't want to build a software company or learn any of this stuff, but I am very intrigued by it. And so back to your point, to answer my own question, I was curious as to what you were saying, but when I asked you, why go myself versus you? Look, I love using tools in AI, and I'm constantly tinkering with code, all the language models. And again, I'm back to how can I simplify my life with AI? And I want to simplify my life with AI, but I don't want to build it. I don't want to be the one building the tools. And so for you, you solve a very, very, very specific problem. I don't have to build it. It's already done. And it's going to solve 95% of my day-to-day and make it better. At what? A minimal cost. And I mean minimal in terms of the grand picture, the grand scheme of things. I can scale this thing to 100 units and probably have this thing running full throttle with me on not having to worry about it ever again. It's going to make my team's life easier. It's going to make my life easier. It's going to make the guest experience better, right? And now I'm like, I can even do this on a personal level. I can have one of these things become my assistants, be a note taker, come in with calls, remind me of what needs to get done, my to-do list for the day. What's the most important thing I need to get completed today? What's my actionable step, right? There's this book called The Slight Edge, and it's like talking about one actionable thing every day to succeed over the long term. This thing could just come in and go, dude, you forgot to do this today. Do it right now. Be like, oh yeah, you're right. Thanks. Hey, let me do a quick notification. John, this is fantastic, dude. We're at 57 or so minutes, and I want to be respectful of your time. I mean, we didn't even get into your life and story. I was really curious about how do you go from a professional ice hockey player to short-term rentals and tech? I mean, like, that's kind of interesting. I think I'm gonna have to have you come back on another episode and let's talk about some other stuff, man. Because this, honestly, I don't say this lightly. I interview a lot of people, and this has been one of the top conversations I've had in a long time. And all we did was talk about your software, and we're just kind of geeking out on AI. This is the Big Break Show, dude. And everyone that comes on for the first time, I ask them, do you have a defining moment in your life that took you from maybe hockey player to what you're doing now, or maybe before hockey player to what you're doing now? What do you have, like, a defining moment that you would call your big break to where you're at today?
It's a very good question, man. And I feel bad for not having prepared this before, but I'm gonna try to give it to you like as fast as I can. Look, like, just to answer the question, like how I got here, I could talk to you about a specific moment that might have led me here, but I think it's like, compounding moments of my life that took me here. I think that one of the first, like the most important things, and I think it's going to be one of the most important things also during the AI era, is actually connecting with people and relationships. And I think that because of my background, which we haven't been able to talk about, I've had I moved away from Spain to France when I was 10 years old. My father stayed in Spain because of work, and I've been to boarding schools for hockey since I was 15 years old. I'm living on my own, and because of that, I had to adapt to multiple environments. And you cannot grow alone. So I've had to make a lot of connections and build relationships and spread my network. And I think that if I'm where I'm today is because of this, capacity in connecting with people like on a deeper level and building relationships and spreading my network. And one thing that might have led me from hockey player to entrepreneur and building a company and building the future of short-term rentals at Y Combinator is when I was at McGill University. I had this talk. I was studying entrepreneurship, and I had this talk from the founders of Midday Squares. I don't know if it's something that rings a bell. It's like some and I just I was playing hockey before going to McGill. I broke my ankle. And so my goal was to go to McGill to play U sports, so play a university there as well. And I wanted to keep studying and playing hockey, but potentially, go pro, but high level, not only in France, but potentially overseas. But I broke my ankle. And so I couldn't play. And I had these guys come in and talk, and I said, I think my new sport is going to be entrepreneurship. And one day, I'll build my own thing and I'll have my own business and I'll be successful there. It just came now, and it just came like that. I didn't plan it. And I think that's the beauty of it. And that's just purely because of relationships. And so if I can encourage people on developing something, I would say social skills and being genuinely nice and trying to help people. And that's always been something that has helped me. I've helped a lot of property managers and not selling them the tools I was working for, but talking to them about actual tools that could serve them. And they came back to me for advice over and over again. And same with friends and people all over the place. And that's why today I went to YC and I'm building this, because I had those connections.
There's a very defined line that almost every guest that I bring on the show talks about, and it's always some sort of defining moment where something extreme happened in their life. I just had a buddy of mine a couple episodes ago, and he was like, I was playing rugby and I broke a leg. And then I have to figure out what to do from there, right? So similar idea, but it's always when your back's against the wall, or you have to make a pivot, or some extreme circumstance happens, or you meet someone that changes your life. And also the second part is the entrepreneurial spirit. I used to talk about this in the beginning when I first started the podcast. Are you born an entrepreneur, or can you learn entrepreneurship? And some people have it and some people have to learn it. I think it could be both. I think you have it. I think you just have it inside you. It's not something that you learn because you already kind of had it inside you, and little by little it started coming out, and it started piquing your interest and talking to other people about it, and here you are, right? And real estate is a relationship sport, and I think entrepreneurship is a relationship sport because you need people and you need to be able to talk to people. And dude, you're very good at talking to people. I'll tell you, I've had some people on the show that are super dry, and some people that I have to really squeeze questions out of them, and you're very easy to talk to, very easy to interview, man. So I appreciate you coming on. Dude, with that being said, John, I want to keep going on this, but tell everybody, how can they get a hold of you? Where can they reach out? How can they try out Trellis? Hell, tell me how I can get on Trellis, but give everybody your socials and how they can reach out if they have more questions around this.
For sure. So, I mean, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Jan Sahagun, JanSahagun. Trellis, you can just visit the website. It's trellistech.com. You can just book a meeting with me directly and I can walk you through the platform and get you set up. I mean, you can also send me an email, jan@trellistech.com, and I can also drop my number if needed. But yeah, just, reach out and we can take it from there.
And we're going to put everything in the link below. Guys, this was an amazing episode. Everybody, seriously, go check this stuff out. I mean, this is game changer. I'm definitely signing up. Dude, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate you.
Cuídate, Rafael. Thank you so much, man.
Real quick, can we take a second? Do me a favor. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't yet. I know every channel says this, but it really does matter. When you like and subscribe, it tells the algorithm to push this to more operators who need it. 2 seconds for you, and it gets me in front of the next person trying to figure this stuff out. And if you want to take it a step further, hit the share button and send it to someone you think can benefit from this conversation. And for real, you're spending your time with me, and that means the world. I love you guys.